Hey everybody, I'm Jesse, and welcome to another edition of Gen X Thinks. And today I'm going to talk about why the future is stupid. And by the future I mean today. Looking back at, when I was a kid and what I used to think that the future would be like, sort of like the Jetsons, we'd all have flying cars and cool food and less war or no war, and instead we have this stuff we have today. Either the Jetsons, something like the Jetsons, or some kind of Mad Max post-apocalyptic thing. That would have been cool too. I'd have been okay with that. The Postman, or something along those lines. But what we have today is a bunch of social justice bullshit, keyboard warriors on there screaming about weird shit and getting upset. Everybody gets offended and upset over, a lot of times just over facts and truth. So much cognitive dissonance today. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's the idea that it's when people entertain two conflicting ideas in their head at the same time and hold them both to be true. And we see so much just hatred and division over normal stuff. Just normal stuff. Immutable facts, immutable traits. White men are hated now just because they're white men. It doesn't matter how much, they contribute to society or take care of their family, how good they are or how bad they are. None of those things matter. Just because they're male and they're white, that means that they're the hated class. And, watching that kind of stuff is just, it's upsetting, I guess. Maybe it's just hard to believe that it's happening. Really, for me, I have a hard time believing that it's happening. But then I see it every day, so it's a fact. And I just heard this thing about young women. They're getting married, and then they're upset because they have to be their husband's emotional support, right? They've got to take care of their husband's emotional needs, and that's a very good example of cognitive dissonance there. Women, boomers, and Gen X, the feminist part of those groups. They taught young women that they should want an emotional, sensitive man, and that will emote, and then they taught the young men that their masculinity was toxic and they need to be sensitive and all this stuff, right? So now these young men are trying their best to be sensitive and emotional and all this stuff, but the young women are finding out that they don't like that. They don't want to be around that shit. They don't want to be an emotional support person for a man. But at the same time, they believe that's what they need. That's what they're supposed to look for. And that in itself, now the young woman is going to think that there's something wrong with her because she can't get what she's been told she wanted her whole life. Now she can't get this from this emotional, needy, effusive, bleeding heart male. So, and this is causing a lot of problems with young women, because they've got these conflicting things in their head, and they're trying to make them gel together. They're supposed to want this emotional, needy, weak, crying, weepy man, but they when they get him, they can't stand him. They can't stand to be around him. if they were just taught to want what they actually wanted, and that's okay, that men don't have to be that way. Men don't have to weep and emote and all this shit. That's just too much emotional bullshit in one household. It's just too much. Both people can't be that. Both people can't be emoting and weeping on each other's shoulders at the same time. One of them has to be the rock. One of them has to be stolid and supportive, and the other one can be emotional. That's the way it was designed. That's why men are the way they are. And I see that shit now, and so that creates a lot of animosity toward men from women, because now these women don't know why, they can't stand to be around their men, because they've been told their entire lives that that's what they want, and then they get there and it's completely just not what they want. So then they get confused. So then they want to blame it on the man, right? And they begin thinking there's something wrong with themselves and all this shit, and it causes a bunch of emotional turmoil and logical turmoil inside a young woman's mind. So this is the kind of shit we're faced with today. This is the future, okay? And it's exasperating to see younger people going into this and trying to struggle through this bullshit that the older generations have forced on them. Society as a whole has forced on them. And we don't have the technology that we were promised. If we weren't going to have an apocalypse and live in some cool ass, kick-ass land of freedom and daring do, you know what I'm saying? Then the technology was supposed to go toward making our lives better. All right, better, not more convenient, not more convoluted, not more confusing, not more aggravating and all this shit, but better. Our lives were supposed to be better. We were supposed to not worry as much about prosperity, about paying the bills. We were supposed to get things done faster and have more time for the pleasures of life. And as we see, that's not what happened. Yeah, we got a lot of convenience. I can look on my phone and have Amazon drop off some cheap Chinese shit at my doorstep on the next day. I can do that, yes, and that is nice, yes. But I would trade that in a heartbeat for some extra time during the day, for a stable economy where the prices don't skyrocket in the course of a year or two and put all this pressure on us to pay the bills and just to eat. And social media popped up out of nowhere, and social media is just so fraudulent. I see people comparing themselves to these accounts on social media, and that really puzzles me about that, because number one, that the account might not even be real, and then if it is a real person behind that account, they're most likely, just showing you snapshots of fakery, with a big smile, and they got their family together to take one jovial picture or something like that. When the truth is, as soon as the picture's taken, everybody goes back to their isolated little room and looks on their phone and ignores each other the rest of the day. Or, one of the spouses will go out and just take off and do whatever for the rest of the day. And they portray themselves, their life on social media in this fantasy way, this perfection, this ideal vision of perfection. That's how they portray their lives on social media, when in reality it's chaotic, it's aggravating, it's lonely, just like every damn buddy else. But now you've got everybody else comparing their real lives to these social media clips of fakery. So that kind of shit is frustrating to watch and to see, and it's just stupid. I mean, why? What? On what planet is it that reality is bad? What? I mean, we all know that life is rough, life is hard. Everybody has fights with their spouse. To one degree or another. You know, you have short spats, you have 4-hour arguments, you have 4-week arguments, you have, you know, whatever. Everybody has arguments with their spouse, everybody has problems with their kids, everybody has problems across the board. So why do we pretend not to? Why do we feel this need to get on social media and present this fake ass life for other people to compare to, when we know it's fake? What good does it do when you look at your social media account and you know it's fake as shit? How is that making your life any better? Because you compare your fake ass social media account to someone else's fake ass social media account. What the hell? Social media is just garbage. It is just garbage. So that, and the fact that it is such a huge part of our lives now, in this future that we've been given, it's so fake and so just poisonous to the mind. It's not what I thought the future was going to be. Okay, just not at all what I thought the future was going to be. If I was asked back then, I would have said that the future would have been, you know, a lot of truth and reality, and, you know, just everyone living those normal, happy lives, not pretending to have normal, happy lives. You know, the economy's so shitty, and we're continuous war, and all this bullshit, all these social justice bullshit causes that are going on, creating strife and division amongst us, all this bullshit, and it's just not, this isn't what it was supposed to be, right? So, and that's why the future's stupid. It really is. It's just fake and fraudulent. It's not even, I mean, sometimes we do get slight moments of entertainment like that, like the CEO got busted at the Coldplay concert or whatever, cheating on his wife, and the HR lady got busted cheating on her husband up there on the Coldplay concert or whatever. I mean, yeah, that's mildly entertaining for a short period of time. But most of the stuff on social media is just straight garbage. It's not even entertaining. It's just mind-numbing bullshit. And then the other thing about the future today is that we're becoming more and more sedentary, right? Nobody wants to move around. Nobody wants to do anything. Nobody goes to the library anymore. Nobody goes to plays in the park. Everybody just wants to sit on the couch or lay in the bed or whatever and drool on their phone. And, you know, we're becoming unhealthy. We're figuring out more and more that our healthcare industry is not about health at all. It's about keeping us sick. And that's not the future that I was promised. I was promised, you know, healthy food, clean water, you know, a very streamlined and efficient and capable healthcare industry. And instead, we've got this bloated, bureaucratic, congested healthcare industry that is actually, should be changed to, the name of it should be changed to sick care industry, because that's what they're doing. They're caring for the sick. They're extending our problems and just milking us for money for the rest of our lives. Because if they heal us, when's the last time they've cured anything? Honestly, I can't remember the last time they cured something when it was big news that they cured cancer or they cured AIDS or they cured anything, any major thing. When's the last time they actually just cured something? They found a breakthrough remedy and it just got rid of it completely. You take this pill for a week, just a week. Take this pill for a week, problem solved. It's over, it's gone, it's done. They don't do that anymore. There's no money in curing anything. Right? There's just no money in it. And that is just... I've got a couple of things there in that I go to the doctor once in a while. I don't know, every couple of years or so, 3, 4, 5, I don't know. But I don't even go often enough to know how often I go. But I go to the doctor and they tell me my cholesterol is borderline. Now, they just told me that a few years ago for the first time. They checked my cholesterol, never had it checked before. And they, they want to start putting me on some kind of statin or some shit like that. And honestly, I just ignore it. I just don't trust that shit. Who's to say because I didn't get my cholesterol checked until I was 50 something. So who's to say that's not my normal level? Then my cholesterol's been at that level since I was 5. I don't know because I never had it checked. I never thought to have it checked when I was 17, 18, 20, 30, 40. I just never thought to have it checked. But when I did just a checkup, really more to make my wife feel better, then they come back and tell me this shit about my cholesterol. So I work hard and I sweat and I'm very, very active. And so I'm just not worried about it, to be honest. And then another thing is my eyes. I have high pressure in my eyes, I guess. And I go there again in my 50s and they tell me my eye pressure is too high. And that is one of the signs of glaucoma. So they've got me taking these drops, and that's, I have to take these drops for the rest of my life. Again, the same thing with the statin thing. They want to give me this pill, and that's I start taking this pill, and I got to take this pill for the rest of my life. I start using these drops, and I got to use these drops for the rest of my life. There is no cure, is my point. And I take the drops, I put the drops in, whatever, but who's to say that that's just not my normal eye pressure? Every single person on the planet, their eye pressure is, whatever. I don't know the numbers. It might be 5. It might be 5,000. I don't know. Let's just say it's 102. 102. And if you're above or below that, you need medicine. Now, I have a hard time believing that. I think that, everybody's cholesterol and eye pressure, depending on your genetics and, who you are as a person, your genetic makeup, I think it probably varies. I think that maybe, 110 eye pressure, it might be normal for one person and 80 would be normal for another person. What the hell? Unless you're getting some kind of symptom from it, which I never have. I can't tell. The only reason I know my eye pressure is high is because they told me. I don't have problems with it or anything. I don't feel anything. It's just normal. I don't, there's no way to tell that my eye pressure was high. So, but, and that's the trick of it though, because I would be stupid not to use the drops, right? To take that chance and get glaucoma or whatever. I'd have to be an idiot I don't want to go blind, right? I don't want to go blind, so I'm going to pay them for the rest of my life. But who's to say that I don't know if I have to or not. That's the point. That's my point. Do I actually have to pay them for the rest of my life, or would I be okay if I just ignored that shit and went on like I was, as if I'd never gone to the doctor? I don't know. All I know is what they tell me. And now that they've said that, it's just it's too much of a risk. I don't want to even risk going blind, so I'm going to take the damn eye drops, I just wish that we could trust our healthcare system, and I believe that, that the world is a stupid place to be because we can't. That's one of the reasons. why the future is stupid. Because we can't trust our healthcare system. We can't trust our government. We can't trust the media. We can't trust anything anymore. It's just the lack of trust now is to the point where I really think that civilization is doomed now. Like I said before, it might be, another 100 years before civilization collapses like the Romans. It took a long time for the Roman civilization to collapse. So we'll see where that goes. But here in this future of idiocracy, this isn't what we were promised. This is what we were warned about. Okay, in movies and media and stuff. This is the future we were warned about and didn't really worry about. That's just far-fetched bullshit. It's not going to happen. People are smarter than that. But here we are. Look at us here. We're in the first stages of idiocracy. Idiocracy, I forget what year idiocracy, like 2500 or something like that. And so 500 years from now or something, or 200 years from now, something like that, I forget. But we're in the first stages of it, and it's stupid. It really is. It's idiocy, and there's no getting around it. I'd rather have the future that we were promised of prosperity, of health, of happiness, and not the future of stupidity, the one that we find ourselves in now. And I'll leave you there with that. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and comment. If you'd like to support the channel by becoming a member, I'll put that link down in the description, or you can head over to the channel page and become a member that way. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can do so by clicking on that super thanks button down there. Or you can head over to Buy Me a Coffee and buy me a cup of coffee. I'll put that link down in the description, and thank you very much to those of you who do that. If you're interested in Gen X gear, we got some pretty cool stuff over there at Redbubble. Gen X Thinks and Gen X branded stuff, t-shirts, coffee mugs, stickers, all kinds of cool stuff. But I'll leave that link down in the description too for any of you who are interested. If you can't or don't want to support the channel in any of those ways, you can always do so by sharing these videos on your social media. That helps out one hell of a lot, so thank you very much to those of you who do that. If you have any ideas for future episodes of Gen X Things, please put those down in the comments. Or you can email us, and the email is genxthinks@gmail.com. And as always, stay frosty, Gen X, and I'll see you on the next one.